So over the past few days, you might have heard big news about ThriveCart. I'm going to get to that in a moment. You might also have heard just before the end of last year, ThriveCart had massive investment. I don't know whether it was 33 or $35 million. And so there's been a lot of talk about ThriveCart. What's the direction it's going in? And there's been this big announcement about 40 new payment processors coming soon. And it's in July. And a friend of mine has put together a great list of them, and it's just amazing to see things like WeChat Pay, Cash App Pay, Klarna, PayPal Credit, Stripe Link, SEPA, Bax, all of the payments people have been asking for, 40 different options. It's going to be all included in the standard license. So my name is Steve Benn, and I just wanted to record a video inside my ThriveCart account. Some stuff I'll have to block out for privacy's sake, and some areas you'll see I don't make as much use of as other people. I do a lot of selling print-on-demand books and digital courses, and occasionally live classes as well. So that's a breakdown of the kind of things I'm selling. What you're selling or may sell will differ. So firstly, I'm going to take you into my products area. So here we are. We've got a bunch of my products. You'll see I have got a lot of products in here. It goes on and on and on. One of the things I'd like to see in ThriveCart at some point is a way to actually organize all of this, maybe into some sort of folders or groups. But you know what? When you focus on stuff like that, it stops you moving ahead. That's a big mistake, because it's taking action that actually gets your business up and running and gets you sales. It will be a nice to have some folders. It's not going to add anything to the bottom line of the business or your business, in fact. So if that's the reason you're not getting ThriveCart, I would really suggest revisiting it. Next, I've got upsells, and I've not got as many upsells. Got some experimental ones here. I've got a load of A/B tests in here, which I'm afraid I'm not going to be covering today, because for the past 2.5, 3 years, really, probably since start of 2020, I guess, I really got into doing my split tests with various cart setups, various offers, and I've learned a huge amount, and I'm going to be showing that separately. Here is what I do not focus on: downsells. Why do I not focus on downsells? Well, typically, I think it's always better to offer somebody a payment plan rather than actually create a downsell. I also think if you create too many downsells, it trains people to expect your stuff to be cheaper. Well, why not just make it cheaper to begin with? In fact, for me, that's the point of a sales funnel. It allows you to take a big product and break it into the elements that people want. Your front end should be what people want to buy and the minimum things that they need, because some people won't need more. So let's say that you've got a great new piece of software, cloud software, that maybe creates great automatic content using AI. Not everybody is going to require a Spanish language version of that or an Arabic language version of that, but some people will. They're great upsells. So ThriveCart breaks your product down into front ends, upsells, downsells. You can also do A/B tests, and then you've got coupons. Nothing hugely interesting about coupons, I guess. But if we go to products, and I can show you how to create a product, you can create a digital product or a physical product. Physical products are what I use for my print-on-demand books, and that's something that's really exciting. So what we do here is give our product a name, and I will call this Behind the Scenes in ThriveCart, and I'll just choose a product owner, and the label, I'll just make it, so this is just for internal reasons. I'll leave it on test mode for now. I'm going to set the pricing. Cool stuff you can do. You can choose from all of these currencies. Remember, these new payment options will be coming public and live for everybody a little bit later on. So we're just going to stick with the standard payment options here. We've got one-time fee, subscription, split pay, pay your own price. Now, one thing that ThriveCart does not talk about at all, in fact, nobody really talks about this, but I actually know. I'm going to share something with you here, is most platforms, and I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong here, use what are called reference transactions for PayPal transactions. Now, what that means is your transaction is implicitly tied. So if you get a subscription, it is implicitly tied to the service that you use in most cases. And if you try and then move to somebody else, it can be very difficult or impossible to move that, because it's a reference transaction that runs through their system. With ThriveCart, as it stands right now, you own all of your transactions. If ThriveCart were, God forbid, to disappear, your subscriptions would still keep coming in, because they're not reference transactions. If they were reference transactions, that's when things can get difficult. Now, you can also do pay your own price. You can add a bunch of levels here. Quick tip, if you're going to do that, write what the gift is here. So if they give $10, well, then you say you get the PDF report. If you were to set another one, so let's say they give $20, you get the PDF and the transcript. That's how I suggest you work it. It's not quite worded like that in ThriveCart, as if they put add message, but it's actually really, really easy to kind of get things going. There's always set a minimum price as well. But that's not what we're going to do today. Now, you can do a split pay. I typically think split pays work best when you've already got a main price. So what you can do is in your page or funnel creator, you can actually have 2 embedded buttons for ThriveCart, okay, that takes to a separate page, takes people to a separate page. And one option could be split pay, and one option could be a discounted full price version where they pay all at once, but they pay a little bit less. And you can trigger, purchase emails on recurring payment or just on the initial one. You can limit the quantity as well, so we could limit it to just one. So split pay is really good for that. Next up, subscription. This is where people pay monthly. Remember, these are not reference transactions. You own them. You can also set trial periods as well. So we go 7-day trial period and $1 monthly price. Today's $1. I think I probably want to charge a bit more, and I can also limit the quantity here. Set a subscription on, go for a one-time fee, but you can still add a trial period on here, which is really, really cool. Now, one thing I actually would like to see is a paid trial option, like a token amount, but you can kind of set it up yourself anyway doing this. Hopefully one thing you're realizing is I'm pointing out the things that I would like to see. So what we'll do is we'll just say in here it's going to be $100 for my behind the scenes ThriveCart product, which actually I've literally just made up at the moment, but it sounded like a good idea to me. Next, you can set out of stock options. So what I will say is, sorry, all sold out. But what you can do is you can also send people to a URL as well. So you could actually send them to your full price page, or you could send them to another offer, or to a coming soon opt-in page. That's a really great strategy, by the way. So we've got other options on here as well. You can customize your customer's payment notification. So you can send a detailed notification or a basic one. And basically this allows you to add on all sorts of things that you might want on there, such as maybe how to contact for support, which you got the link there, download PDF, access your purchases. If you're using some of the product delivery options, that will be done directly for you. And here you can upload your logo and add other things on there. So we'll just save that and leave it as for now. Calculate sales tax. So you've got all of these here. And then you can also set these various options. So do not collect sales tax in local country, okay? So let's say in the UK you're under the VAT tax threshold, but you want to still charge EU VAT. I do not, so I do want to. I do not want to collect UK VAT. You've got other options there. I've got my business address there. And that is all set up. So we've actually now got something that's going to charge tax and record all of that for us. Now you notice it says simple tax there. You can also integrate with Quaderno and get it a little bit more detailed if you've got really sort of specific things going on. But for a lot of people, they find things set up with this. Usually what I find is there's confusion, and it's not anything to do with ThriveCart. It's actually that because there's so many confusing tax options out there, it can be difficult. But I've just noticed something I do need to do. I've set that as software, and it actually should be a video training course. So we'll just save that. Next up, bump offers, okay? Bump offers, order bumps, whatever you call them. These are a massive generator of value. And I've done maybe 30 or 40 split tests now on bump offers. I've learned a lot about them, what works and what doesn't. What you want to do is make it a simple decision for people. And ThriveCart, I've split tested against some of the other platforms, and 2 areas it really excels. One-click upsells, it seems to do better, and bump offers. You are going to get better results. So you can do a digital or a physical one. Right now, you can't do a subscription one. Is that a big issue? I don't think so. The reason is subscriptions tend to be something we think about a little bit more, don't we? We go, oh, do I really want to be subscribed to this for $7 a month forever? So if you get somebody thinking about whether they want your bump offer or not, because it's a complex product or it's very expensive, you're actually going to increase the abandonment from your front offer because they think, oh, I need to think about this. They walk away from the whole purchase. In other words, bump offers need to be something that somebody go, yes, I want this, or no, I don't. So confirm. So get the course transcripts. And I use Andy Mackow to do my transcripts. He's absolutely fantastic. Now, should it be pre-selected by default? I've never found a good reason why. It's nice to have that option, but I would always say no. Let people click to add to order. Next, I'm going to add my payment processors. I've got a number of different PayPal accounts and things in here that I can link. I'm just going to link my standard ones. These, the PayPal and the Stripe ones, are some of the core ones. And when you get the expanded ones, this is where you'll be able to select them. But I think you'll have to have Stripe and PayPal on there. And authorized.net we'll leave for now. Apple Pay, Google Pay. One thing I found is for low priced products, particularly in smaller niches, Google Pay and Apple Pay really lead the pack. I've tried a couple of split tests where I've just had them on, and they don't do well on desktop. A lot of desktops aren't set up for that. Mine is. With my Mac Studio, I put my finger on and it will authorize the transaction. And same with cell phones and tablets. But of course, if most people are on the desktop or the laptop, what they're going to want to do is maybe check out with a credit card, maybe check out with PayPal, something else. So it swings and roundabouts. I think generally having more options is never a bad thing. So next up, affiliates. I have not done a huge amount of affiliate promotions in ThriveCart. I think I've maybe done about $10,000 or $20,000, or should I say I've received in commissions. I've done a couple of different offers with just a few top marketers. I might change that. I probably will at some point, but not right now. If you want to set this up, you click here and it's going to take you through a little warning saying you've got to clear your cookies before proceeding. Set up your various options. We'll leave that for now. Next up, fulfillment. Now, here's what you do. You can display their total and their invoice. Remember, that's got an access purchase button on. You can send them to a URL. So basically, if you've got a custom thank you page, send them there. You can add them to your membership site. Now, this here is just set to work with ThriveCart Learn. It does work with some other membership systems as well. And so what you can do is you can actually choose some of your training. So for here, I might go my ThriveCart Mastery Program. For the bump purchase, I don't really have anything. So I'll go for inbox email tactics. And you can apply tags. You can use these tags then in Learn, which is the built-in membership system, which has all the basic things that you want. So it can actually trigger the upgrades and links it together. You can also put in your support URL here. So I'll put in https stevebenn.zendesk.com. And then you've got this way you can put in a custom page to send them before accessing the course. I see some people use this as an extra upsell. It's weird, it's janky, don't do it, it's a bad idea. You can also ship a DVD or CD to your customers via Kanaki. I mean, I'd love to do this. I've not used Kanaki in years, but I can't think of a good reason why. I'm sure it'll be useful to somebody. Next up, we go to the checkout. We've got type. Okay, so you can go for legacy cards. They're the ones without templates. You don't need them anymore. Although I know one guy who's called Paul who does incredibly well, does millions of dollars. For a long time, he used the legacy card. So they do convert well. I just like the flexibility. Now, I want to talk to you about something that I do. You see, I create a lot of mini carts or mini sales pages, depending on how you want to view it. That means it's essentially like this, but sometimes I'll use this template. It means it's got my pitch on there, it's got my sales video, my VSL, and it's also got the checkout. And I'm going to show you how to put that together in a moment. It's also lets you choose from embeddable, so you can put it in the sales system, or should I say the page builder that you're using, or a pop-up. Now, typically people say, well, which is the best one? That's really not a great question, because it's context sensitive. If you have got a free plus shipping book, I can tell you that an embedded cart that's actually on your design page, let's say in ClickFunnels or Convertri or something, or InstaSuite, works really well. That's going to convert well. If you've got a more expensive product, you want a separate checkout page. You don't want it embeddable, and you don't want it as a pop-up. What you want is to be able to actually measure it so you can really tweak cart abandon, because about 70% of people who start your cart checking out don't complete it. I've got to the point where I can save just over 40%. And the easiest way to do that is by having a separate cart page. So one of these two. So you can do the sales cart, which is very typical of what you might see from somebody like Frank Kern. The standard one, which is the one I use more often, is where you have a sidebar. They're the big differences. And the pop-up one is basically where you don't want an embeddable, but you don't want to take them to a separate page. I have found that these two work really well with low ticket. I found that standard can be made to work really well with low ticket, what I call impulse offers, and also to a certain extent mid to high ticket. But mid to high ticket tend to belong more here. But your mileage may vary, because it's going to depend on your niche, it's going to depend on the price of your product, and your KLT factor, know, like, trust. So now let's move over to design. Let's start designing our page. Now we can copy design from another product. That's a super fast way to go. Or you can import a design. If you've got the link, you can do that. If you get ThriveCart from me, what you'll find is I give you a bunch of my templates, which you can just straight up import there. You can also share your designs as well. I think there's some sort of marketplace coming, or maybe it's available and I've missed it. So what I'm going to do now is go to the editor, and it's going to launch. I'm going to give you a tip right now in languages that read left to right. Typically, this works better because the button's over here. Somebody reads here, they go here. Now, if you do not have any coupons, don't leave the coupon thing on the page. Guess what? People go hunting for a coupon. They often don't come back to your offer. I'm just going to quickly use my brand colors. And one of the things you can do is you can auto apply, or you can hide this. So I've fixed it so it's there. We've got the price breakdown there. Over here, we've got customer and payment. Why is that? Because we've got a two-step form. What that two-step form means is that we collect the email address, which means if we get cart abandon, so somebody doesn't complete the cart process, we can follow up with an email saying, hey, looks like you didn't complete your purchase. Converts way better than a single step. Now, what I've found is with really, really cheap products, sometimes I'm talking a couple of dollars, sometimes actually having a single step can help. But usually because of the volume that you might get with a cheap product if you're running ads, or you've got amazing organic search, is, well, how can I put this? You're kind of losing subscribers. It's which do you want most? You'll get more cash, I think, particularly if you've got a bump offer. Now, bump offers, I'm not saying that this is wrong, or it's the check thing there, but what I have found works better in almost every niche is to have, and let me just find it, change it to a checkbox style. So if you're split testing, these are some of the things you can split test. But the big thing you should always split test first is your offer. Once your offer is right, then focus on the headline, focus on the price, then deal with all the small stuff. Too many people get caught up with that. Just as I was saying, people don't get started because, oh, ThriveCart doesn't do A, B, or C, which really wouldn't affect their business to the point where it's worth not starting. But a lot of people don't start because of things like that. If that's you, don't feel bad about it. Just take action. So we've now got that as red. I'm going to remove the image. Images do help on bump offer conversions, but I just don't have a decent image right now to offer. So we'll remove that. I will add an arrow. I'll just quickly copy and paste this color. You can save these as presets, by the way, and I have presets saved. But I kind of like this one, so and you'll notice it's added my default brand colors to the swatch, which is great. You can go for full width buttons or standard size, so we'll go for full width. Could go for a custom image, but to be honest, I don't see the need. Sometimes things are about the speed of getting started. We can take or remove that. Adjust SEO settings down there. I prefer boxed rather than full page, just because it gives somebody something to focus on. You can adjust the various borders and things like that. I don't think we need to do that right now. So if I just go back here now, I'll just call this default brand. You can also add custom footer links as well for your various policies, things like that. Adjust the spacing. But what we are going to do now is we can have a product image here. I think we'll just remove that. So we've got the item that's been added here. Now, one question I see a lot is, oh, when is this big cart update coming that will allow me to add multiple different items? I want to stop you right there. That is an e-com cart. It is not a funnel cart. Funnel cart is one heck of a lot more efficient, okay? Excuse my language there if you're offended by the use of the word heck. I know a few people are. It's not a great idea adding loads of different products, okay? If you've got an e-com store, here's a great way you can go. Have most of your store run on e-com for your top products. Actually go through a funnel cart. At least try it. I've seen some great results. For some, it's not something I've seen so widely practiced. I can tell you it will definitely work. So what I then like to do is add a heading, and we'll pop the heading here. And my heading structure is a little bit like this. I call it the mast or the hero block because it does the heavy work. My pre-header, I like to pose a question. Do you want to get more sales and conversions? And then here, so that's posing a general question. Discover the secrets of and turn your business into a conversions powerhouse. Now what I could do is, of course, I could go over to ChatGPT, get this quickly done. I generally feel like ChatGPT is great for establishing a base level. It's the tide that raises all ships. I think if you spend a bit of time on it, maybe using ChatGPT to do research and treating it as a digital assistant, you'll probably get the best results rather than just taking what it has for you regardless. So we'll now have had a post head. Learn how to get more customers and save over 40% of cart abandons. I admit it's not great. It could do with being better. And you know what? I want to pop that in a content box. This is a good general structure in ThriveCart that makes it easy for you to drag things around, to style them. And there, it's just got minimum height there. So what we'll do is turn it to that, set the alignment to center. Not that that's super important. Here, we're going to put that to brand color, which for me is fuchsia and a sort of gray blue, but yours might differ. And so now we've got our product information over here. What I'm going to do now is drag a guarantee seal. So we'll just put that there. Having a refund policy always helps. Blue goes well with fuchsia, so that's a good one there. We'll go 60-day refund. I typically like to do 60-day refund policies. And what we can also have here is a countdown timer. Top tip, if there's more than 24 hours to go, don't put a timer on. 48 hours is the absolute maximum. Typically, I say 24 hours. It will increase your sales, but it's only going to increase your sales if it's shorter than about 24 hours. Otherwise, it will depress your sales. There are a few reasons why you might want to do it, but typically, it's best avoided. So I will say pre-launch offer ends in. And this is fixed. Replace the cart with a message. Sorry, pre-launch is all sold out. I'm just going to pop that up there. I'm going to say it should end at 5 a.m. This is always your local time, by the way. And, you know, we'll say that this ends on Monday. So it's a bit longer than I would like. I would typically say 24 hours, but for the sake of this, we'll put it here. I can convert this to a single step, as you can see, so I have the payment details here. But what I do need to do is just Get my branding on point. And you know what? I don't think this is going to be a cheap product. I think we said maybe $100. So we will go back to multi-step. We'll set the default font as something a little bit different. So just going through here. Let's see if Babus New works. Yeah, I like it, but the fonts need to be a little bit bigger for that to work, in my opinion. So yeah, we're going to have to go back and change that, unfortunately. That's too light for my liking. Yeah. Cabin's one of my favorites. And that's quite working here. Well, you can see I could probably be here for quite a while. We'll go for Fearless Sands. Still not finding it super readable. Montserrat. A little bit stretched. Wow, you can see I'm really picky on fonts, aren't I? And you know what we'll go for? Has it got Roboto? I do like Roboto or Poppins. Railway's nice. We'll go for Roboto. That's good. So I think that's a nice font. I think that works. This is too small. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to increase the text size. And if we can move this down, the guarantee should be below the call to action. Why is that? Well, I don't want people stopping and thinking about refunds just before they're about to click the button. It might sound weird, but it's actually interrupting the conversation that's already going on in their mind. So we'll just put a little divider there. I'm kind of liking how this is going. We've got here, now instead of contact information, I think we will say best email for your membership account. So we're giving them a specific. Anytime you can make something more specific, the better will do. We can use this, by the way, to do colors, things like that. We can also do typical sorts of highlights. So here's a quick tip for you. Use Shift plus Enter on your keyboard to end your lines at the right place. And turn your business into a conversion powerhouse. So we'll go underline, underline. Again, left to right languages, highlighting their keywords for speed readers. Get more sales and conversions. Save over 40% of cart abandons. So we're just drawing the eye to the really key points. Now what you can do is, I find, is you can use here for listing testimonials. You can use it for contents, things like that. Remember, we've also got this bump offer. So get the transcript. This is our headline. Remember, it should be a simple offer. If people think about whether they should click this or not, they might exit the whole page, and we've got a cart abandon issue there. Now, do it right. Don't make any crazy offers. Keep it simple. And it should never hurt your overall front-end conversions. Only add to it. And as you get better, it will only boost your revenue. Now, this little arrow here almost always helps. So you see here where it says special offer on the subhead, only $19. What I like to do, normally $40. And I'll put the cents in there as well because it makes it visually look bigger. And that affects how we perceive things. So what I'm going to do now is just use the strikeout, which we've got here, super useful. Today only. And you might say, well, Steve, why would people actually go for this? Well, it actually makes quite a lot of sense, simply because we're saying you can get this today because I don't have any advertising costs. I don't have to try and track you down. It means I get the most conversions. So I can afford to give a discount and I still come ahead. Here, you want to talk about your offer. So get the transcript to the entire training program. This is in PDF format, and you can even print it out. Now, I know what you're saying, Steve, this is pretty weak source, but I'm just trying to give you an example of some of the key things you need. Get the transcript and speed up your results. Give them a benefit. Why? Faster results. Think about the typical benefits. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's better, it's bigger quality. Okay? And apart from things like done for you, those are really the key reasons why people buy something, particularly a bump offer. Okay? It's got to do something to the main product. If this was get a load of secondhand DVDs of Tony Robbins, it's not congruent to the main offer. Should not be a bump offer. This needs to be super congruent. Now what I'm going to do here, because visually it helps, is just add arrows so people know to continue. Now you might have a VSL. Maybe you're just using this as a checkout. You don't need any more details than this. Or maybe you're doing a micro sales checkout page combination, which I do. You drag out the video and you can expand it there or shrink it down. Now you notice I've done it single column here. It would be nice to keep everything above the fold. And if you're doing a standard cart page, that's where it works best, keeping everything above the fold. When you're doing a cart and sales page, a micro sales page as I call it, it's best to combine it. Now next up we've got FAQs. What you can do is you can drag that, add this here. Why am I putting it here? Because it's something people go and check on. It's not as relevant. So we'll just brand that up there so it looks pretty good. You can also add HTML. You can add bullet points. And here we'll get a subheading. Key things you will discover. Enter your bullet points here. How to get more conversions from copy. Why your page, actually I should say your checkout page layout matters. And you just go on and on like that, add your bullet points in there. So you can give people quick reasons to read over here. They're narrow columns, makes it easy to read. Conversions go up, by the way. We can also add images. You've got your product info box, which kind of is what we've deconstructed over here. You've got cart steps over here. And, you know, typically you've kind of already seen something like this before. So over here, I'll just remove this. This is just showing what it's for. So over here, we've got our cart now. Don't ask for any more information than you need. So many people collect information beforehand. I see so many people for so many platforms say, it would be great if I could have an email confirm over here. It would save my customer service so much. And it's a big mistake. And here's why. You can always have an email confirmation after they've bought on the thank you page. That gives them a second chance to fill everything in. And guess what? Things are always going to go wrong. You're always going to need customer service. But you could half your conversion rate, so half the number of sales you get, to save a couple of customer service requests about email addresses. And guess what? Having that extra confirm at the end of your funnel will sort out most of them. You also need to have your customer service being proactive. So what I'm saying is there are third-party scripts you can get to check like common email addresses. There are ways you can fudge this so that email addresses are confirmed. It is not a good thing to have on a card. Okay, I'm sure they will introduce it as an optional extra at some point. Don't do it. I've tested it in my own systems. It does not work well. Every single thing that you add in your cart is going to slow people down. So do you really need their first name before purchase? Now, maybe for actually getting card authorization, you might find it actually goes through better. One thing I will say is that because people write their names differently, it's often not a big factor in that kind of thing, as opposed to the address. So if it's a business purchase, you can put that in there. Contact number, but don't get the contact number before the sale unless you absolutely need to. Can't say this enough. You can have an abbreviated address or a full address. You can also ask for their VAT number, so it's not popping up if you're in the United States. You can add custom fields and you can set them up. But again, don't be using this. I see this even with big e-com sites where on the checkout page they have a box which says, how did you hear of us? And like, how many sales is that costing you? I know from split testing it's a huge amount. What you do is you put it after the purchase, okay? That's where you gather that data. This has to be absolute minimum to get it to work. Now, if you've got terms and conditions, you can pop that here. So you can have a terms and conditions checkbox. You can have an opt-in checkbox. So you've got plenty of options. ThriveCart gives you a lot that you can actually do there. So we'll just go done off there. Next, we can see how everything looks on mobile, and we can even move things around. So we can just, sometimes you'll find that you want to slightly reorder how it looks on mobile so that the law of thumb reach, where somebody's thumb can easily reach, means that they can easily get to that sales button. Sounds crazy? Trust me, it makes a difference. So we'll go to next now and just go back to standard view. We'll go to the success page. This is where we will give them any sort of download links that they want or extras. We can use this as a quick thank you page. We can also view the invoice. What I need to do is I need to set it to my brand colors. And again, you can save this as a preset, save yourself some time. And there we go. Now what you could do is you could put a thank you video on here. Just saying, hey, thank you for signing up. Now, one thing I would say is actually to thank people for the front end purchase at the start of your VSL for any upsells. Or you can redirect to your own custom page. It's really up to you. But for the sake of today and going through this demo, just do that and then go complete. Now in tracking, you can actually put tracking codes, or in custom, what you can do is you can actually put in things like codes for live chat bots, things like this. Here's a quick tip for you. Live chat bots can hurt conversions if you do them in the wrong way. They don't suit every type of product, because if it's an impulse purchase, somebody's getting ready to buy and you've done a good job convincing them beforehand, stopping them and saying, hey, do you want to talk, could actually break that motivation. But literally all you do is you just paste in here. You've got your main product, your checkout product. So there's lots of there's lots of tracking. And you can also run it only the first time the customer gets to the success page. So if they come back, it's going to be disabled. So you only want that event to fire one time. Perfect for tracking. Next up, behavior. This is super cool here. Something I've always loved about ThriveCart. When the main product is purchased, add them to my Aweber account. And I've got a lot of lists here. And I'll say add to my ThriveCart list. Also apply these tags. Now here's what I do. I have a structure for how I structure my tags. So it would be by ThriveCart Insider. I spelled that wrong, excuse me. By ThriveCart Insider. We'll say that you can run it in specific locations, so we can actually vary it for various reasons. Now next up, I'll add another rule. And this is where things get really cool. The main product, the cart is abandoned. Add them to ThriveCart by ThriveCart. Did I say ThriveCart Insider, was it? It might be the secrets. Bump. I'm going to go to my autoresponder and then send sequences that will fire based on these keywords. Super easy to do. Actually, that was for, I'm going to change that to the bump offer is purchased. That makes more sense. So I can send an email saying, hey, I see you got the bump offer. At the end, what I can do is I can look at which ones they bought and which ones they didn't. So I can then start to get an idea of every customer. They're building up a profile in my autoresponder. And it works with a whole bunch of autoresponders, so you're not going to have much issue there. Next, I'm going to save this. We've got a brand new product. I think it's still in test mode. So what we can do then is we can share the design, add a tracking ID, copy the URL, customize the sales funnel. So let's go down here, enable a sales funnel. Now this is going to be a little bit less detailed. I'm delivering it via ThriveCart Learn, which is the default membership platform. You can integrate other membership platforms, have direct downloads, send physical products. So then what I can do from my upsells list is I'm going to pop in cart abandoned secrets. And we'll say that goes for ThriveCart Mastery. And we can add basically a tag here that will trigger something in there. And what we can do is we can go to edit the upsell page. Now you can copy the design from another upsell, which I will now do. And we'll see if we've got, yeah, so I've already got, let's see what we've got here. Oh, that's not so great. Like go to cancel, copy. If of course you've not got one, what you can do is simply go back and design it yourself. So we'll go for ThriveCart Mastery. You can also have, because this is one of the rumors about ThriveCart, and in the early days it wasn't so possible, you can also have external pages as well. So what I'll do is actually I'll go for my Funnel Pro offer. And then we've got the design of this in here. You can see it's all kind of designed for one click. So I'll just go to Save Changes. And we'll change the product that this is associated with. So Funnel Pro, there we go. And that now all matches up. Good. You can also set downsells here. Typically, like I say, avoid downsells because I think they educate your buyers that you can do things for a lower price. It undermines your pricing. What you can do, of course, is a payment plan. So what I'm going to do now is save the sales funnel. Now that's been saved, we can move on to a few other things. So coupon URL here, product create. So here we can set a coupon. Here I've got a 100% coupon set for basically testing. And we go copy that. What we can actually now see is the page. Okay, so this is in testing mode now. We can put everything in. We need to pop in our VSL to make this work, but you can see it's pretty nice to look at. It'll look great on mobile. It's got all the key elements, but nothing there that's too much. If we click here, we'll see that it updates. Because I'm in the UK and it's in US dollars, I said not to charge you UK VAT tax. It's not adding in. I can add an EU VAT number though, optionally. So now you've got a sense of how you actually put together a product. This is where I'm going to have to censor things a little bit. So we'll just go on week to date. And we can then control what we're doing with our subscribers. You can also give people the opportunity to control their own subscriptions. So here, somebody's cancelled a 60-day trial. But they can do that because I've set up the portal where they can do it themselves. And you can set whether you want people to be able to cancel their trials or just update credit card details. It means you get a lot of extra sales. And next up, we've got subscriptions over here. Guess that kind of makes sense. And then up here, we've got partners for affiliates. Like I say, I've done a few promos here, but not a huge amount. So you've got affiliates, payments, product options, JV partners, so you can send commissions, and that's all pretty cool. And then we've got Learn. Learn is the default membership system that comes, well, with ThriveCart. And it's not as complete as something like, say, like Kajabi or something like that. You have to bring your own video hosting, stuff like that, but it's all very minor stuff, and it allows you to do stuff quickly. You can build bundles. You've got students, teams. So here's one that I've just been building out. Currently on a different membership platform. I've imported a few of the courses here. And if we just go to create a course, we'll call this, I want to actually put it in a project first. I will call this Email Cash Machine. What I can do is I can set my logos here. I'll put Steve Bann. Discover how to turn your email list into cash. https stevebann.zendesk.com. What I can do here is select top menu, grid, basically different themes. Think of it like that. I'm not going to bother uploading logos, but of course you can if you want. I'll go for top menu. And then you've got modules and lessons. And what we do then is create a new module called Welcome. You can set it for all students or specific tags. Remember, we talked about tags when people purchase. So let's say it was buy ThriveCart Insider -bump. Well, then we say that this is only accessible to people who bought the bump. Now, what you can do here, of course, is the welcome. We want to set it as all students. And then I can drag a lesson over here. What I suggest you do is build up one default lesson and then duplicate the format. So, introduction. Edit. I've got a little drag and drop builder here. Okay, so what we can do here is just add a heading. Introduction to the training. We are going to look at how to get the most out of ThriveCart. And you can set the fonts, things like that, title styling, menu style. Like I said, it's got all the basic kind of things that you would want. You can add a download, which is download button, FAQs, bullets, headings. How this differs, I think, than maybe other membership platforms is, other membership platforms, typically when you click here, will give you a lot of those options in kind of the contextual bar at the top or that pops up. So it kind of swings around now. So it's just laid out a bit of a different way. Once you get used to it, it's perfectly fine. Here's what you can do though. Once you've got the default bits set, like I think I have now, so we've got course progress, things like that. We could set these to brand colors, but for now, I'll just kind of leave that. What we can do then is go to publish. So we've just published our first lesson. What we can then do is you can go to dripped, which says your overall course will be dripped, or you can click here, go change access timing, dripped, timed period, and you can say 1 week, 1 month, 1 year after purchase. Really, a year? Day of the month, so this is a specific day. So you can say, 6th, 7th, 8th, yeah? Specific calendar date, or after trial or rebuild. This is a great way to keep people sticking and stop them cancelling. So we'll say after first rebuild, they get access to this. And it really is as simple as that. And if you go to course options, got support URL, you can set what happens. So if they don't make a payment, you can pause access. But you can also set it to disable all access, yours. You can then customize the registration page, the login page, you can promote your other courses, and you can set up a custom domain. You can also have one custom domain for your cart as well. I think I neglected to say that. And you can set up rules based on student behavior. So a student gets access to the course, a student is paused, disabled, a student completes the course, completes the module. So you can send out emails saying, hey, congratulations. Super easy to do that, very, very powerful. What we can do now is we can go save and go back to our dashboard. And so now if I scroll down, I think, yeah, it will be in there. Is it? Oh, no, it's down here. Sorry. My bad. So yeah, currently got 30 students on that, and I must have put the other one in the wrong box. Sorry about that, guys. Because essentially what I was replicating was this program, but I know that we don't have 30 students in a couple of minutes. So I've obviously created and stuck it in the wrong project. But that's essentially how it works. If you want to go to edit the login page, you can come here, do some customization, make it look nice, put a background, things like that. So there you have it. That is a really super quick overview of ThriveCart. There's some cool stuff you can set up in the settings, like Dunning, which follows up with credit card payments. You can enable the customer center, where people can go change their credit card details, and or if you want, they can cancel subscriptions, things like that. You can enable Zapier, do various other integrations. I use ThriveCart for a lot of stuff, and I'm really excited in just a few weeks now when publicly these 40 new payment processors will be available. It's all going to be included in your standard license. So I think it's well worth it. It's a lifetime license. They've got a huge amount of, millions of dollars now backing them. And I think it really is the best time to get ThriveCart. I hope some of the suggestions I've given you, some of the demonstrations have been helpful. I'm sorry I couldn't show everything, but for privacy reasons, for the sake of competition, people who will copy what I'm doing, I didn't want to go into everything. I hope you understand. So my name is Steve Ben. If you'd like to see some more of the individual videos I've done for ThriveCart, I think I'll pop a link somewhere, maybe below this video, hopefully. And with that said, this is Steve Ben, signing off.